Hello and greetings to everyone. I'm sorry that I was not able to join you physically, and I'm having to do this online. However, I hope that the message that I have will still come across to you. First of all, my thanks to the organizers of this excellent conference and very important and timely in order for us to look forward to the future and how we can get out of this predicament that we have. Now, I want to start off, first of all, by reminding everybody that in the situation which we have currently, of a settler colony, which has taken over the homeland of its the original inhabitants, half of whom live as stateless people under the rule of the settler colony, and the rest are in exile, either in refugee camps or in different countries, people like me. That's really what we have. Now, to try and work a way out of this is extremely hard. And I think we have to be honest with ourselves before we start any discussion by confronting the fact that we have one hell of a problem in Palestine. We really, really do. I sometimes wonder whether Arthur Balfour, whose declaration fell, the date of the declaration over 108 years ago, fell at the beginning of November, whether this man had the faintest idea what he was unleashing on the Palestinians and what it would lead to. I wonder. I'm sure he cannot have had very much of an idea. He didn't care anyway. But if you think about it, what was done over 108 years ago was a license given to a bunch of a group of people with a fanatical conviction based on imaginary ideas of connection with Palestine. And what Balfour did was to unleash people like this onto a very innocent agrarian population, which is with the population of Palestine. People completely unsuited to understanding Europe, European history, or anything about European Jews, Western Jews, and Western anti-Semitism. They knew nothing about that. And on them was unleashed this force of complicated, very unhappy, determined, fanatical people who were determined to take over the land of Palestine. The result of that, and the only reason I'm going back to that moment in history, is because I want to remind people that the result of that project, supported by Britain and subsequently by the United States and Europe, the result of that project is to have created an almighty problem for not only the Palestinian inhabitants of that land, but the Middle East region as a whole, an almighty problem. And what one resents about this is that we, Palestinians and Arabs, who are innocent, completely innocent in creating this project, are now dumped with it. We're now told, right, you solve this, you solve this. So I think that is the starting point for our talk. We are not engaged in a discussion about some ideal situation which we Palestinians or we, the people of the Middle East, ever sought or ever wanted to be faced with. We are not. We are faced with a very big problem. And solving it is extremely difficult, extremely difficult. Now, the various ideas that have been put forward to deal with this situation have been failures, and they're fundamentally flawed in any event, not least the two-state solution, which presumes a geography which does not exist. It presumes, supposes that there is a territory for the Palestinian state, even if it were acceptable to divide Palestine into 80% and 20%, 20% to the original inhabitants, 80% to the invaders. I mean, really, even if that was accepted, it's still not practically possible. So the point I want to make is that the ideas put so far have been unjust, impractical, not possible, or a combination of all of those. The best and most promising idea is the idea of a democratic state to replace the current Israeli state. That is the thing we're all met here, we're all gathered together here to talk about. But I'm very anxious that we should put it in its rightful place. It's the best that we can think of to deal with an absolutely impossible situation for any region to have to try and solve. It's the best we can come up with. And so it's with that in mind that I want to talk about the way we should think about the democratic state solution and the way we should present it to the world. We who support the one state, and most of us would be Palestinians, should be Palestinians. And the way we should really think of it is like this, that from a Palestinian point of view, what we really want to see is a restitution in the best way we can, to the best extent we can, a restitution of the original Palestine. That's what we're really after. What that means is that the Palestinian people have the primacy here. They need to come home, those of them in exile, and join the others who are already living in Palestine. They must be united. They must work together to create a new situation, a new administration, which will take care of the fact, A, that Palestinians have come home, that there are so many millions of them, their needs have to be catered for. However, that same realism that dictates we're looking at the real situation and says that the Palestinians need to come home and we need to restore the original Palestine insofar as we can, that realism also involves the recognition that there is a settler community in Palestine. These are Israeli, Jewish Israelis. This is an Israeli Jewish community, which are settlers and their descendants. Now they're there. And in my opinion, the point is not that we start talking about brotherly love and how everybody can get on so well together. That is not the point at the beginning of the project. The point is that you've got these people. And from the Palestinian point of view, you have to deal with it. Unfortunately, we were dumped with them, and we have to deal with it. Now, this may not sound very nice to our Jewish colleagues who have been simply wonderful in supporting the one state project, and so many of them, so very fine people. This might not sound particularly charitable, but what I'm talking about is the reality that faces most Palestinians today, and the fact that they and most Palestinians have to deal with that. So, therefore, what would be the best way that we can sort out this situation? The best way would be to have a democratic context in which people living in the Palestine I'm talking about enjoy equal citizenship and equal rights. It's the only way forward. It's the only way forward. Now, I'm saying this because I'm very, very aware that the current events, the genocide of the last 2 years, has made a substantial difference to this discourse. And if you'll forgive me, I'm going to just do something about this blind, because otherwise the view is not very good. Hang on. All right, I really hope that's better. Okay, now what I was saying was that all this I'm saying sounds fine enough. But when you consider that the last 2 years we have seen a genocide very, very ably described by Haim, this genocide has made a very big difference. It's not only made a big difference in terms of public support for Palestine. We know that it has turned the world upside down in the way people understand what's going on, and have now become very sympathetic with the Palestinians. It's not only in those terms that I'm reminding people, but it's in terms of our one democratic state initiative. We cannot ignore the fact that if you want to present this project to Palestinians, what you're doing is saying to them, never mind about this genocide, we're all going to have to live together. Now, this is not acceptable, I can tell you, from my own personal experience in an Arab country in the last few months. It's not acceptable. People will not swallow it. I'm talking about Palestinians and Arabs, but particularly Palestinians. To them, that is, we, the supporters of the one democratic state project, you are really proposing to ask them to, in quotes, embrace their murderers, the child murderers, the slaughterers, the monsters who have carried out this genocide in the last 2 years. It's not possible for them to see it, or for most of them to see it, in any other terms. And I propose that we do not press the point. The one democratic state idea must be a vision for the future. I don't know how long, because I don't know how long the effects of this genocide, let alone the genocide itself, how long it's going to go on. None of us knows that. So to actually presume that the situation is as it was before 2023, and to carry on happily discussing the one secular state, etc., I think is mistaken. We can't do that. And we need to recognize the reality, the new reality created by Israel's genocide. And we need to work out how we deal with that, while not abandoning the ultimate aim of the one democratic state, which is, of course, the only possible outcome from this nightmare. While not abandoning that, we also need to be aware that there is a historical moment for such things to happen. And at the moment, it's not something that will carry along with it Palestinian support. In fact, one has to remember that the first thing you need to ensure for a project like the one democratic state is Palestinian support. Because this is the injured party, and they're the ones who are in desperate need of a solution like this. But you have to carry their agreement with you. And you cannot do it at this moment, I think. And there are pointers anyway to the past in which it was not attractive. Because if you look at the opinion polls amongst Palestinians, they've consistently shown that the one state idea does have support, and it has been increasing, but it's not as much as overall, in the overall number of opinion polls, it does not have as much support as the two-state solution amongst Palestinians. Well, of course, you could ask yourself, why is that? Well, it seems to me very clear why that is. It is based on a dislike of the idea that you're asking Palestinians to live together with their usurpers. This is previous to 2023, their usurpers and their killers. And now, after 2023, you're asking them to embrace genocidal maniacs, as it were, to their bosom. It's not, I think, very mysterious why that would be not acceptable. So my suggestion is that if the one democratic state project is presented in the way that I have proposed, that it is a Palestinian initiative designed to ensure that Palestinians have their rights, including the right of return, and that they have primacy in this matter. And it's presented like that as a Palestinian initiative. My guess is that more Palestinians would be attracted to it than if it were presented as some joint project between Jewish Israelis or Jews anywhere with Palestinians. This is not fair to the brave and principled Jews who support this idea and have contributed to it. This is not fair, but I think we really have to face facts, that in order to take the Palestinian people, or a majority of them, along with us, we have to put the whole project in a very different way. That it is not about rescuing Jewish Israelis who find themselves in Palestine, but that it is about Palestinian rights. And I just want to end on a story, that something that happened to me in the summer. I was in Amman, Jordan, and I did speak about the One State Project, and I received a very hostile response, I can assure you, very hostile, of the type I've just been describing. However, several of the points that were made to me during that talk and during my time in Amman have stayed with me, and they're very interesting, and I want to share them with you. I received the response when I said to people, listen, look, we never set out to share our homeland with European Jews. Certainly we never did. And so, but they're there. Their answer was, well, that's tough. That's their problem. It's not ours to solve. So I said, well, what's going to happen to them? They don't have a home country. And the answer was, well, they should have thought of that before they came to our country and set themselves up and had children and had grandchildren. So we, that is, we Palestinians, are under no obligation to provide any kind of solution for these settlers and children and grandchildren of settlers. So it's an answer that stayed with me because it reflects a reality, it reflects something that made sense to many Palestinians, and it's something we have to reckon with when we're considering all the factors we need to consider in aiming for the one democratic state. So I want to end on this. It has not changed my mind. The 2 years of genocide have not changed my mind about the ultimate destination of this horrible journey. We are on a journey which the Palestinians never invited, never sought to be on. Nevertheless, we are on it. And the termination of this journey and the destination has to be the one democratic state, which includes all the people who live in Palestine, plus all the Palestinians who were expelled from Palestine and their descendants. That, I think, is the only way forward and a future I will work for.